Here's Brody Brazil.
Okay, so here you have it, the A's and Angels, two teams in the same state. They're in the same division, and they share the letter A as their main logo. A lot of similarities there. But they also right now have two very different but similar ballpark stories going on. Not just where they play now, but what the future might look like for both these teams in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years. Let's first give you the backstory. These two clubs each play in some of the oldest venues across Major League Baseball. And when you look at this list, it's actually a bit deceiving. You kind of have to cross off Fenway Park, Wrigley Field, and Dodger Stadium, 1, 2, and 3, because those are timeless classics. They're relics. I have the opinion that they will never be replaced, at least in my lifetime. They've all gone through hundreds of millions of dollars of upgrades and renovations, and they're like new, and they've been like new several times over. They have so much history attached to each of them, especially the first two, but Dodger Stadium now included. So it's no surprise that numbers 4, 5, and 6 on this list are greatly being talked about in relation to their replacement. Angel Stadium, either another upgrade or the Angels moving somewhere else. Obviously, the Coliseum is way past its expiration date. The A's are talking about Howard Terminal. They have been for several years. And right now, the Royals are greatly considering leaving Kauffman Stadium to try and build a new ballpark in downtown Kansas City. So as we get into these two different ballpark stories, I guess let's begin on the Angels side. Here's a current look at Angel Stadium. It's fine, surrounded by a big parking lot, easy to get to, I suppose. But yeah, it kind of feels like a 60s ballpark still. And it's been renovated. It was a football stadium. We'll dive into that in just a second. Now it's a baseball-only stadium, has been that way for a couple decades. It hosted the Rams until 1994, and then it became baseball-only by 1998. They took out all the bleacher sections and left, and the upper deck in right field. Did a lot of work and upgrades to really enhance it and make it feel like a new ballpark, even though it was dated. They're actually still going to use this site for the 2028 Olympics. So it's not like they can just say, tomorrow we're going to tear this thing down. Angel Stadium is going to exist for at least another 6 years. It's kind of obligated to that because of Los Angeles's bid as an Olympic host city. I mentioned the parking spaces. There's plenty of them, 12,500 on site. And yeah, Angel Stadium, pretty accessible by freeway. So it's got a lot in common with the Coliseum, an older venue. Here's what it used to look like when the Rams also called it home. So you can see clearly the improvements, the enhancements, and how it went from this multi-purpose venue to a baseball-only facility before the year 2000. But this is what the Angels want it to look like moving forward. Their ownership group, they want to develop all that land, all that parking lot space, condos, retail. They want to make it, Angel Stadium, its own kind of self-standing community. And that's no surprise. A lot of new projects have this. They're actually willing to keep the stadium, probably upgrade the stadium once again, but also add to it as kind of a surrounding neighborhood. I get it. Like I said, this is not shocking in the least. It's not even that revolutionary in the least. The rendering is okay. I feel like it leaves a lot to be imagined or impressed by. Like, make a splash if you're going to put something out like this with ideas. Anyway, this is what the Angels hope to have their stadium surrounded by in the near future. So how did they get to those renderings and this idea of developing around Angel Stadium? Well, we actually go back to December of 2019. The city of Anaheim agreed to sell all that land and the stadium to the Angels for just $325 million? That seems like such a steal, such a bargain. And on behalf of everybody on the A's side of what it's like to go through getting a new site, building a new stadium, all the approvals, it's crazy that a team like that right down the state could get that type of deal, that type of, bargain for $325 million. So a little bit frustrating, I'm not going to lie, but more power to you if that's how it's going down. As part of that agreement, the Angels were going to stay in Anaheim until at least 2050. There was a team option in there to stay up to the year like 2065. But yeah, that's the benefit and the bonus to the city, is that the baseball team is not leaving anytime soon. However, in recent times, huge allegations of corruption and a violation of California's Surplus Lands Act. That leads to a lot of attention and publication, and on May 23rd, the mayor of Anaheim resigns from his post. And then a day later, Anaheim cancels that sale of $325 million, which again goes back to December of 2019. They canceled the sale to the Angels. A couple days later, the Angels officially pull out of their bid and their request. So man, that imploded quickly. And now, quickly enter Long Beach, California. Now, they've had this plot of land circled for several years, if not a couple decades now. There have been several different projects pegged for this land, which is right next to the port of Los Angeles, the big shipping terminal. You can kind of see it right past the Long Beach Arena right there. So this has been an area that Long Beach knows is available, has been keeping open for some type of opportunity. Long Beach is now putting themselves out there as wanting to actively pursue the Angels for a new home. Here's a better look at it. Look at the Long Beach Harbor. There's San Pedro Bay. You can see the Queen Mary right there. This is a very busy area, which I'll get into. It's a very familiar area too for a lot of people, but that arrow is pointing to specifically the neighborhood, the region. You know, they don't have a rendering or a plan of this yet, but that's kind of where the ballpark would be in Long Beach. Interesting. The Long Beach, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, maybe. And there's so many similarities to the A's situation here, right? Like an old existing stadium, issues with politics. In the case of the Angels, it's totally different. Like, it's much messier. The A's are fighting through this in a legit way. It's taking its time, but at least it's going through proper channels. But similarities in terms of a rush to figure out what's next and figure out a next home, or at least a permanent solution for the Major League Baseball team. There's also the other similarity here, like moving to Long Beach for the Angels. Isn't that kind of encroaching on what may be considered Dodger territory? Like in the same way when the A's were considering moving to San Jose, even though that's farther away from San Francisco, and the Giants claimed that as their territory, and Major League Baseball agreed. So how would that work out? That's also a similarity to this situation. If they do consider Long Beach, it's an operational port. It's a busy working port. The port of Los Angeles is, in fact, the busiest in America. So for as much as people talk about the port of Oakland being busy, and you certainly don't want to interfere with that type of business, with the ballpark being added to the location, it's even multitudes greater in Los Angeles. So I'm not saying it's impossible, because I do believe it's possible at Howard Terminal. I'm just saying that's another similarity to this situation. And also limited freeway access. When you look at the structure of transportation to this site specifically, it is nowhere near as easy to get there as it is currently to get to Angel Stadium. So what's next for the Angels? I mean, a couple different things here. Do they wait this out? Do they try it again? Do they let the city of Anaheim resurface and sort this out? Will there be a chance for another deal? I have no clue. I mean, certainly they can play in their current ballpark. It's not as old and outdated and dilapidated as the Coliseum is, but they're looking to do more. And I don't know if another opportunity exists like the one they have planned in Anaheim somewhere else in the city of Anaheim. Does that make sense? Like, what they could do at Angel Stadium, I'm not sure they could do that anywhere else in the city of Anaheim. Do they pursue relocation? Do they consider Nashville, Montreal, Portland, Las Vegas? I don't know. I don't know what they're considering. LA is a huge TV market. I get that. But a development like they want to do is also a huge opportunity. And then, is Long Beach a reality? Is Long Beach just a conversation? Is it a fun talk? I don't know. I really don't know what the possibilities there are. And so that kind of brings it back to the A's aspect. And once again, you know, seeing the Angel Stadium project go through so fast, seeing the sale happen for such a low cost. I think a lot of A's fans were once envious. Like, how could you guys get that done so easily and quickly? Now we find out there may have been some backdoor dealings that were not proper, they're incorrect, and now they're not going to go through. But I also think from the A's aspect, it shows how difficult this process actually is. Here in the state of California, to do this the right way, to do this through the proper channels, you kind of have to respect the time it takes for something like that. Another thing, and I totally see from the A's aspect, is the Angels, just like the A's, are in the hunt. They've gone decades without a new ballpark. They've seen almost every other team in the league either get their stadium totally fixed up or totally replaced, or the opportunity to do something somewhere else. And so, the A's and Angels and Royals and Tampa Bay Rays, they're all in the hunt for something new and better in the immediate future. And then I also want to throw this out there. Surprise, surprise, another California team with an outdated venue that's got a huge parking lot. They don't need that parking lot. They can do better than that parking lot. And in fact, that parking lot can do better than just parking cars 81 times a year, 81 days a year, instead of the 365 total days in a calendar year. Does that make sense? That land can be used in a much more valuable way than just 81 times for 4 hours at a time per year. So it's the trend, and this has been going on for years and decades. Those parking lots surrounding stadiums, hugely a thing of the past. The A's know it. The Angels know it. There's no question about it. So, two teams, same division, longtime rivals, similar logos, different fan bases, but two ballpark stories that have a lot of similarities and a definite amount of differences.